Hello guys and welcome to another video. In this video I'd like to speak about limits. So I'm sure you've seen the high school textbook definition of basically which looks something like this or roughly like this, where we're approaching a point x0 or x null from either the right side or the left side. And if the right side equals left side, our limit exists. And this is to denote that our limit exists. That this is the exist symbol. So I want to explain this more intuitively. So if we have a number line on the x-axis, and let's say we're approaching the number 1 from the right side and from the left side. So when x is being approached from the right side, we denote it as with a plus sign, and when x is being approached from the left side, we denote it with a minus sign. We also use this terminology, HA, which basically means our point A is being approached from two directions, from A plus epsilon and A minus epsilon. So epsilon meaning some very small number. So let's say this is 0, this is epsilon, and let's say this is 1, the number 1. So epsilon is smaller than 1, and it's larger than 0, sorry. So I guess you already know that limits have got a lot to do with approach. So basically we're always approaching some number in a function. That's what we're doing essentially. So on the x-axis, we're approaching x, null. We're approaching some sort of number. It can be 1, it can be 2, it really depends. And if our limit exists, well, we don't know yet, but how do we find out if our limit exists? So how do we find out this? So our function has to be continuous, and it can't, that means if I have a function, let's say a random function, and I take out a point like this, so this empty point means that this particular point, let's say it's 1, does not belong to this function. Then if we're approaching the limit from, doesn't matter which direction, let's say we're just approaching the number 1 on the x-axis from both sides, our limit does not exist. So it doesn't exist. It's denoted like this. Also, what you might run into is, let me just scroll down a little bit. If you have these kind of asymptotic functions, where basically an asymptote is a point where it's a line your function cannot cross. So let's say we have this kind of peculiar function. So let's say this point is 1, this is 0, this is the x-axis, and this is the y-axis. We cannot approach 1. This is our asymptote. And so if we wanted to find the limit as x approaches 1, we wouldn't find it because we never can approach 1. And we're approaching two different values. As you can see here, we're going to plus infinity on our y-axis, and here we're going into minus infinity on our y-axis. And that is all for today's video. See you next time.